Hey everyone, and welcome to part 19 of the Godot top-down shooter tutorial. In this video, we're going to actually connect our UI, so we'll have our ammo counter here that decreases whenever I shoot and resets when I reload, and we're going to have a health bar that not only goes down when we're shot, but it also animates and has a really nice polished effect that will really highlight that the player has been attacked, which you'll be able to see right here. So with that, let's get started. So in our last video, in part 18, we left off just having finished our health bar and our ammo counter here. And so we've got the design ready to go, but they're just not wired up into our game. So if I start our game up here now, you'll see that our health bar just sits at 50%, and if I get hit, it's not going to change, and that if I fire, our ammo count doesn't actually go up or down. So let's get those implemented and set into our game so that we can actually have a UI that updates with the player's actions. So first I want to start off with the health bar, because I think this is going to be the more complex feature that we're going to have to implement, and so I'd like to just get that one out of the way, and then we can do the ammo counter, which I think is going to be pretty simple. So first off, we're going to need a script to help control when our health bar moves up and down, and same with our ammo counter. Also with our health bar, I do want to add maybe like a little bit of an animation just to make it be a little bit more noticeable and feel better when the player gets hit by a bullet, so that's a little bit more noticeable. So let me add a script here to our UI. We'll just call it GUI.gd, totally fine. The first thing we're going to want to do is get rid of all that crap, and then let's get a reference to both our current ammo, actually all three things, our current ammo, our max ammo, and our health bar. So I'll say onReadyVar health, oh my, health bar. How come whenever I'm typing things live, I can't actually type them? Seriously. All right, so I'll grab our health bar here. If I just do the $ and start typing health bar, it'll just fill it in. And we'll do onReadyVar current ammo. And this will be current ammo. Wonderful. onReadyVar max ammo equals, max ammo. Okay, so now we have these three elements. We have a health bar, we have our current ammo, and our max ammo. So these two are labels, and this is going to be our progress bar. So when we do our labels, we're going to need to set the text property on them, and when we do our health bar, we're going to be setting the value property on that element. So let us start actually writing some functions to control to actually add that functionality to change those values. Let's just start by writing basic functions that we can use to change the value for all three of these things. So we'll do function set new health value, and we will take in an integer here, new health, which will be an integer. So we're gonna have a function where we pass in our new health as an integer, and we'll do pretty much the same thing for both of our ammo. So we'll say set current ammo, this will be new ammo integer, etc. I'll just copy this, and got a hanging tab there, and we'll do set max ammo here, new max ammo. Okay, so like I said, let's start with our health bar. So let's just, again, my favorite way, hopefully you've picked up on this by now and it's been helpful to you, but my favorite way whenever there's a new problem that we have to solve is to take a step back and think less about the specific code we're going to have to write, but think about the problem itself. So we have a health bar. When do we want it to update? When does it need to have a value set? Think about all the cases that are going to go into it. So the way our game works is we spawn a player right away. So when our game starts, I'm realizing that we're going to need to set our health bar right away, right when the player starts. And so that's case one, set health bar right away. Case two is that when the player gets hit, we need to change the health bar value to match the player's new health. And then case three is that when our player respawns, we're also going to need to reset our health bar and our ammo for that matter too. We're going to have to reset those to the max value to show, hey, the players respawn, they're back up to full health. So for me, it's really helpful just taking a step back and thinking about all those cases we're going to have to cover, because it'll help make sure that when I come up with a solution or start coding, that I have all of those in mind, and we're not going to just like forget to do one or have to change it dramatically later on because we forgot something we're going to need to do. And you'll never be able to get all the cases, and you're always going to need to refactor. So it's not about making it perfect and foolproof. It's about just doing the best you can with the knowledge you have right now, and taking some time to think about that before you get started is always going to help. So anyway, there's my little aside. Hopefully that's helpful information. If not, just, ignore it and move on. But so we have our new health value. So let's think about those 3 cases. The first one I said is when we spawn the player. So let's go over to our main script, which is where we do our spawning of the player. And let's think about how we can implement those 3 cases here. So the first thing we'll want to do actually is get a reference to our GUI variable. So I'll call this GUI and we'll get this. So this way we can actually access our GUI script and pass in stuff and change values that we need to throughout our game. So now that we have our GUI, let's think about what we want to do here. So immediately upon the game starting, we go through all this and we spawn our player. So immediately upon game starting, we want to update our health bar. So what I'm going to do here within our spawn player function is I'm actually going to call those GUI functions that we just wrote. And we also, do we have, let me just check, we have health stat, which is health. Okay, so our health is at 100. So 0 to 100 is fine. It already matches up with our GUI. If you change your player health, just note that you might also have to change your minimum and maximum values for your health bar. Ours are 0 to 100 for health, so we're not going to actually need to do anything with that, but just a note, if you're seeing some issues, that might be why. So all that said, let's just start writing here. And so I can do GUI.set health value, and you'll see that it picks up that function we wrote. But here's the issue. I'm going to have to call set health value, set current ammo, set max ammo, etc. every single time that we spawn the player. And again, because we thought all the cases and I realized that I'm going to have to update our current ammo every time we fire, I'm going to have to update our health bar every time the player gets hit. I'm wondering if there's a better way than just calling all 3 of those functions every single time. And so I'm going to show you, so rather than writing set new health value to be player.health stat.health, right? I think, let me just bump over there. Yeah, health stat.health, wonderful. Let's think about a better way we can do this. So what about if instead of calling all of these functions manually every time something happened, we actually just passed in a player variable, and then our GUI could actually connect. It could listen to the signals on the player that it wants to, so that its stuff just got automatically updated whenever the relevant stat changed. So instead of our main script calling set new health value whenever our player's health changed, we could just pass in the player using a form of dependency injection, which we've talked about a couple times throughout this tutorial series. So we can use dependency injection to give our player to our GUI, and then our GUI can set the health value initially and then connect to our player's health, so that whenever the health changes, our GUI just gets automatically called and we don't have to worry about it. And we can do the same thing for our current ammo and our max ammo. I don't think our max ammo is really going to change, but we'll wire it up just in case it does sometime. But hopefully that's kind of making sense and sounds good. Once we start getting into it, it'll make more sense once you can see an example if you're still kind of lost with it. But this is going to actually help our GUI be a lot more efficient and be set up well, so it's just kind of set and forget, and we don't have to worry about calling it or different cases or whatever. Our GUI will just handle it all by itself. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to add another function to our GUI, and I'm going to call this function set player. And we're going to say player, and this is going to be of class player. Cool. Player, player, player. Wonderful. So I'm going to give another variable in this script, and I'm going to call it player, which is also going to be of type player. You probably are picking up on this. And it's going to be null right at the start. And so what I'm going to do is when we call our set player function, I'm going to say self.player equals player. So what's going to happen is that we're going to call this function from our main script whenever the player spawns, whether that be initially or when we create a new player instance and we need to update our GUI to match that player instance. So the way it works is that when our player dies, we free the current player instance and then spawn a new one. We instance a new player. And because when you free an instance, all of its connections are also freed, all we have to do is send in a new player and reconnect all its stuff. And the old connections that our GUI had already established will also be destroyed when that old player is destroyed. So we don't even have to do that manual cleanup. It'll just happen for free because of the way that Godot's freeing system works. So when we send in a new player, we want to do two things. We want to set the values initially, and we want to connect to those player stats so the values will continue to be updated. So we'll set the values initially here. So we'll say set new health value, and this will be player.health, healthstat.health. And since we're here, let's just do the ammo as well. This will be player.weapon.ammo, current ammo, I think, right? And then we'll say max ammo here. This is good. I forgot we designed our weapon to basically just work by default with this. So we've got, we're calling all these functions now and we're passing in the right stats. Now what we need to do is connect. So we don't have, when our player's health changes, we don't actually have a signal. We're only emitting a signal when the player dies. So let's also add a signal called signal player health changed, and we'll pass in new health. So in our game right now, our health is only ever going to decrease. We're only ever going to get shot. I always like to make signals generic though, and just handle whatever case may come. So in the future, say we had a health pack, we can use this exact same signal for health packs as well, or anything that would increase the player health, and just have to be smart about how we handle it and not assume we're only going to lose health. So we have that signal now, and so whenever we get hit, we can do emit signal. Let's do player. Why couldn't I find it? Try it again. Player health change. There we go. So we're gonna do that, and we'll do health stat.health. I wonder, do we have a signal in our health stat already? No, we don't. Okay. We could add our signal here, but I think it's just a little bit easier to just add it to our player itself. Maybe it's better to put it in our health stat itself, but who really cares? It's easy to refactor later on. So we've got that. Again, we'll come back for our weapon. Do we have... We don't have a... No, we do have a... I mean, we have a bullet-fired global signal, but okay, we'll come back to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So now that we have our health signal, we can do player.connect, and we're going to connect to that health signal. So we'll do player health change, and then we're going to say self, and then set new health value. There you go. So whenever this signal is going to have one parameter, right? It's going to be our new health, and this is just going to be an integer because it's our health. And so we can just connect it directly to our function here to set the new health. And this is all we have to do. It'll just, whenever our player health changes, it'll just automatically call this set new health value function, which will update our health bar to match our player's new health. So it's that easy. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing here with our ammo. So I'll just do like player current ammo, and we'll do player max ammo. And so we'll come back to these. So now we've got something that is going to update our health bar. We need to actually implement the updating of that health bar. So because if we click on our health bar, we'll see over here that this value property is what we want to set. We can do health bar dot value. I'm doing this on the wrong function. Nice. I really can't type today. I don't know what's going on. I feel like that's a common thread though, so maybe it's less of today and more just a me problem. But anyway, so we are setting our health bar value to be new health. So I could be totally missing something here. I am actually. So we've got this set player function, and we're not only setting our health value initially, we're also connecting it. The problem is that we're just never calling set player now. So if we go into main, whenever we spawn a new player, we can do GUI, and we'll change this to just be set player, and we'll just pass in our player. So again, just to recap, whenever we spawn a player, we just pass in our new player instance. Because our old player instance was deleted, it was freed, all of its connections are gone, so we don't have to worry about cleaning those up. All we have to do is just pass in our new player, and it'll just rewire everything up to our new player. So unless I'm missing something, I think we've got pretty much everything we need here to see this. So let's see it in action. I'll run our game, and you'll see that our health starts at 100. That's good. So let me go over here and promptly get myself attacked by enemies. Here we go. And oh my gosh, look at that. Every time I get hit, I lose health, and then when I respawn, boom, health back to 100. So you see how easy that is? Really cool. And now we've got a health bar that's totally wired up to our game and to our player. And now we're ready to do the same for ammo, using pretty much the same procedure that we just followed. So let's think about how we want to get our ammo connected whenever we fire. So we're already passing in the player to our GUI script. And if we come into our player, we'll see that we already have a weapon variable. So as part of passing in the player, we can access that weapon variable and grab our max ammo. Because again, right now, our max ammo does not change. Eventually, if we had the ability to change weapons, we might have to do something with that. But for now, we only have the one weapon, so we can assume that our max ammo will not change. But we need to somehow have a way for whenever we fire the gun for it to update our UI. And if you look right now, we are emitting our bullet fired signal, but that passes out the bullet instance, the team, it's basically like telling the game, hey, spawn a bullet for this team going this direction right here. And so we don't really want to co-op that signal, I don't think. We rather just want our own. And so what I'm going to do is add another signal here. I'm going to say signal weapon fired, and I'll say new, ammo count. And so what we can do here is whenever we fire the gun, we will pass how much ammo is still left in the gun. And in order to do that, we let's see. So we're changing our current ammo here. So let's maybe we can just make this a set get. I believe we've already talked about set gets in this series, but real quick, you can basically define a function that will always be called whenever this value is set or gotten, whether it is set or retrieved. And so we only want to make a set variable here because we just want to retrieve the actual current ammo variable. We don't need to do any handling or special logic for that. So I'm going to say set current ammo. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to make sure that whenever our current ammo changes, we fire or we emit this weapon fired signal. So I'll just do set get, set current ammo. If we wanted to add a getter, we would add a comma and then, something else, but we don't. So we'll just do the set. And so I'll add a function, which I'll just call func set current, what did I call it? Set current ammo. And I guess this could be a private function theoretically, but we'll just keep it as is for now. So we'll just say new ammo, which will be an integer. So we'll pass in the new ammo, and then we will say var actual ammo equals clamp new ammo 0 and max ammo. So here what we're going to do is we're going to pass in a new ammo count, and we're using clamp, which basically makes sure that a certain variable stays within a range. It has a minimum and a maximum, and we're clamping our new ammo to be within 0 to our max ammo. So we can never have less than 0 ammo, and we can never have more ammo than our max ammo count. So we probably won't ever hit this case, but just to make sure, and then we'll have an actual ammo variable, which will be this clamped value. So if it's -3, somehow we get this weird bug that we pass -3 in here, this will be clamped to 0 in that case. And so what we can do, because we can say if actual ammo does not equal current ammo, because if they're the same thing, we don't need to do anything. So if they're different, then we can say current ammo equals new or actual ammo. So if they're not the same, we'll set our current ammo. And then what we can do is say if current ammo equals 0, we're basically just going to copy this down here, actually. And then we can say else And again, we know that we're going to be between 0 and max ammo in this case, so we don't need to say else if current ammo, less than max ammo. We just know we're there. We can do emit signal, and this will say, this will be weapon fired. And actually, I think we still want to emit this signal even if we do get 0. So maybe we don't want an else there. We can just do this, and we'll say current ammo. Okay, so whenever we call this function, we're going to determine our new ammo count. If we're completely out, we're going to emit the weapon out of ammo signal. Otherwise, we're just gonna, and then we're always going to emit the weapon fired, which will update our current ammo count. And so here, what I want to do is actually call this function. So I'm going to say set current ammo, and we're going to pass in current ammo -1. So whenever we fire, we're going to try and set our current ammo to be 1 below what it currently is, and then it'll emit this weapon fired signal where we pass in, or we emit as part of that signal, our new current ammo. So now that we have that set, we can actually listen to this signal. So if we come into our GUI, we're getting our player here, right? And what we can do is we're saying player.weapon to current ammo, max ammo, those should be good to go. Here I'm going to say max ammo shouldn't change, so we don't need to connect anything yet. Again, this might change in the future, or if you want to work on your own to try and implement switching weapons, this might be a place you'd have to connect that. But for now, we don't need it. So here I'm going to do player.weapon.connect, and we'll say weapon fired. I love when Godot's autocomplete works, so it knows that this weapon has a weapon fired script. And we'll say self, and then we'll do set current ammo. And to set current ammo takes a new integer value, which is exactly what this signal is going to pass in. So this should be wired up as it is. Now we can actually implement the setting of our text. So we can do current ammo dot text. And the thing is that new ammo is an integer, so we can't set it to just be new ammo. We're going to get an error here. Oh, okay, maybe not when in the editor, but when we actually try to run this, we're going to get an error because these don't match up. Or maybe we won't. I'm not actually totally sure, but either way, let's just convert this to a string. So we can wrap this in a string call here. And then we'll do the same here. We'll say max ammo dot text equals string of new max ammo. Okay, perfect. So there we go. As soon as we initialize our GUI, we're going to set our max ammo and our current ammo, and then we won't change the max ammo. We're only calling this here, but we will connect to our weapon fired so that every time we fire, our current ammo count is going to change. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's give it a try. So I run our game, and you'll see if I fire, our current ammo count goes down. Look at that. Oh, so cool, guys. It's a really, really simple user interface, but it works. Oh, we didn't wire up the reload. Okay, let's go. We tested that. So let's do that quickly. So right there, when I tried to reload, nothing happened. It didn't update our UI. So let's come into here. Actually, let's change this from weapon fired to weapon ammo change. So it's just a little bit more generic of a name. And then we can use the same signal for our reload as well. So when we stop our reload, we can say, we can just copy this line exactly. So whenever our reload is done, we're going to emit the weapon ammo changed signal, and it should just work because we already are connected to that signal. So if I fire a couple times, oh no, what did I do? Okay, something is, oh, that's right. So I changed this signal name here, but I forgot to change it in our GUI. So let's do that. So we'll say weapon ammo changed. I always forget to do that. Okay, now when we run this, you'll see that as I fire, our ammo goes down. And as I reload, as soon as I'm done reloading, we're back up to 10. And just to make sure, I'll try and go all the way down to 0 so we can see that this is working as we expect. So I can't fire. I reload now, and we're back. Ah, guys, so cool. And look how easy it is. Again, because we've set up our game in a pretty nice way, everything is laid out in a way that makes sense. It's easy to work with, and we've got pretty good decoupling in the ways that it matters. it's pretty easy for us to add this GUI that just connects to our game. And the nice thing is we didn't really have to change anything about how our game works for this to work. Our GUI is just a layer on top that feeds the information the player needs to know to them without affecting our game itself. And that's the goal. You want your GUI to be reflective of the state of your game. You don't want your game and how it works to change to better fit with your GUI. Unless, in the course of designing your GUI, you realize there are good changes you should make for your game. But all that to say, I think we're good to go as far as the basic functionality of our GUI. It's all wired up. All right, so I think we have a little bit of time left, and there's one last thing I want to do just very quickly, and that's add some animation to our health bar. So we're going to use a tween for this. So I'll select our health section, hit Command A and do tween. And if you've never used a tween before, again, a tween is a node that you can use to interpolate a property on another node. So basically lets you transition or animate properties, whatever that may be, on another node. So in our case, we want to use a tween to animate the value over time. So say I have a health bar and I get hit from 100 to 80. Well, it just instantly changes. But what would be nice instead if it quickly kind of lost value here. So you could see it a little bit smoother of an animation. And it'd be cool if we changed the color a little bit just to really indicate to the player, hey, you lost health. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is come to our script here, and I'm going to grab our health tween. Whoops. I'm just going to rename this to be health tween. Seriously, I cannot type today. Unready var health tween, and I'm just going to say health tween. There we go. Okay, and so what we're going to do is whenever we set a new health value, I'm going to say health tween. So tweens have a couple properties or a couple functions you can use to animate things. The one we're going to use is called interpolate property. You can also call interpolate method, which will call a method you define with a value that changes over the course of the tween. But here we just want to change the property itself. We don't want to continually call a method. So I'm going to say interpolate property, and then I give it the object to interpolate, which is going to be our health bar. And then I give it the property, which is going to be value. Again, you can get that because it's the value property. If you mouse over it, it'll tell you the name in code. And we need to give it an initial value, which is going to be health bar.value. So initial value is whatever the current value is. Our final value is going to be new health. So it's going to go from our initial value to our new health. And then the duration, let's just make it, let's do 0.4, I guess, a little under half a second, and we'll see. And then there's, after that, a bunch of properties you can set about how it transitions between values. Here, there's a lot of options. We just want to do a linear because we want it to just go every value in between our starting to our final value. We don't want it to bounce up or down or do any other kind of a algorithm to determine what value to use. Then there's a transition type, I believe. If you do, basically it determines if it speeds up. So ease in, I believe, means that it starts off slow and then gets faster. We can just use ease in for this. I might have got that mixed up with ease out, but it's not super important. And you can look it up in the Godot docs. And then you can give it a delay if you want to, which we won't. So we've set up our tween here. Hopefully this makes at least enough sense. Tweens are not actually super complicated. It's worth just like looking into quickly. They're a really, really useful thing in game development. And then what we can do is say health tween dot start. And so you don't actually tell it which thing to do. Basically any things you queue up, it'll start when you call start. So we could add multiple things for it to do here, and it would start all of them at the same time. So you kind of have to figure out a good tween workflow for that. But now, if I do this, we should see, I believe, that if I get hit, we should see it animate rather than just instantly change a value. We should see it kind of slide to the left as I get hit. Yeah, you see how it kind of slides? So it's just a little bit smoother. It's a little bit better of a game feel. And now we can try really quick just to change the modulate or the color property on our bar so it's a little bit clearer what's happening. So as far as actually getting and changing our color, first let's select our health bar. And if we come down to our custom styles, you'll remember we set a foreground style of this style box. So this style box is actually a separate resource. So first we need to get this style box itself. Again, if I mouse over it, you'll see that the property name is custom style / foreground. So here what we're going to do is say var bar style, and I'll say health bar.get, and it's going to be custom styles foreground, I believe. Again, just matching whatever we mouse over. So yeah, custom _style / FG. So now we'll have our bar style. We can add another thing to do for our tween here, and we'll say interpolate property again, and we'll say bar style. And then, so remember on our bar style, if we click on our style box, we'll see its properties. We want to change the BG color, so it'll be the BG color property, BG _ color. You can see it there. So I'll say BG _ color. And a couple things we can do. One, let's save the current value we're using. So you can grab a hexadecimal code by this little box in here in the style picker. So I'll save that. Okay, and so now that we have that color, let's say var original color, and we'll say a new color here, and we'll give it that code as a hex value, and do that. And let's have a new color, and this will be highlights color. And in order to pick that, we're just going to come over here, and let's try just moving it somewhere a lot lighter, like a very bright and white, maybe there. So let's do that, copy it. So I copied it, I'm just gonna, change that back real quick, Command Z, and then here in the highlight color, I'll just paste that string. Okay, perfect. So now we have that. So we're gonna need to do two interpolations here for the color. The first one, we are gonna start at original color, and then we are gonna end at highlight color. And let's have this do 0.2. So it's gonna be half of the time that our total transition takes, and we'll do linear for this one, and we'll do let's do ease in, it doesn't really matter again. And what I'm gonna do is actually copy this and create it again, and now we're gonna create another one that goes from our highlight color to our original color. And we're going to give this the same length, but we're going to add a delay on the end. So what's going to happen is it's going to wait 0.2 seconds, and then it's going to start this. So this first one will end after 0.2 seconds, and then it's going to start this next one, which will last another 0.2 seconds, where it'll bring it back from the highlight color to the original color. So overall, our color change is going to last 0.4 seconds, so it's going to correspond with our one here. That actually changes our value. And so remember, like I said, you can stack multiple interpolations, and when you say start, they'll all run. And that's why we need to give the delay here, so that we will make sure that our second color going from highlight to original only runs once we've already reached a highlight color in our tween, once our health bar is properly colored. I'm also going to change this to be ease out. I don't think it really matters. You won't really be able to see it. But so this should be good to give our tween something, so it will kind of give it a color change to highlight when we lose health. Okay, so I've started a game here just so that we can see this effect in action. So you'll see as soon as I get hit now, I lose health, and it gives that really nice animation. So it's a lot more noticeable. You can actually see it. And if I die real quick here, that guy shooting his teammate, you'll see it goes all the way back up to the top. So guys, this is awesome. We've pretty much got what we set out to do. Not only do we have UI, but it's connected to our game. It looks nice, and it just feels good. Like, it looks pretty polished for something that we just kind of whipped together. So I hope this video has been super helpful to you. As always, any questions, feedback, suggestions, would love to hear those in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.